Morning by Julie Sharp, Part 9.
Looking back, it was difficult to say what I'd seen. There was something there, certainly. Someone, more than one. It was like that long ago day. There was that same quivering of the air, as if the very atmosphere was alive. I sensed that when I stooped to go into the small stone room. There was a young man. My eyes were drawn to his amazing beauty. Like with my angel long ago, there was a sense of something to be delivered, something to be heard. He is not here. He has risen. Why do you seek the living among the dead? He's alive. There was a crash. Mary had brought a jug of oil perfumed with rose and orange, and this fell to the ground and rolled at her feet, the oil running out and the fragrance filling the chamber. I don't know how much time passed, or whether we were in time at all. To be near an angel is to be near eternity, to be lost to this world, to be out of it and somewhere else. It is to know for sure, without denying, that there is somewhere else, and something else beyond anything the human mind or even the human heart could think of on its own. An odd juxtaposition when the eternal and earthly are together in the same place. A physical sensation. It's like when you're in a faint and you think you might die with the roaring in your ears and that cold sweat and yet a burning feeling. Why do you seek the living among the dead? It was as if those words had been spoken to me, and yet it was as if I couldn't hear them. I thought, there can't be a mistake. I saw Jesus die. But there's nothing I wanted more in this world, and the world beyond, than for that to have been a mistake, a nightmare, a reversible horror. But it was not. I saw the blood. I held his heavy, lifeless body, the empty carcass of him, do you hear? His spirit wasn't in that body. It was as dead as stone. I embraced him, alive and dead, and I know that. And yet, why do you seek the living among the dead? The others were talking now. What should be done? Who should be told? How would anyone believe this? The voices of their hope fluttered between them and sought me, but didn't press me. They were a light in the way small flames are. A breath could snuff them out, and yet we all knew what we'd seen. We'd seen the angel and heard his voice of fire. "Leave me," I said to them. "Leave me and go. Tell Peter, tell John, tell them now." They were glad of a command. Mary turned back to me as they ran up the path, and I raised my hand to her. "Why do you seek the living among the dead?" I stood at the mouth of the tomb, that place of death, filled with the smell of the spilt orange and rose. The cloths, his grave cloths, the long white body covering, the strip that had held it in place and the headcloth, all lay as neatly as if an orderly child had placed them on his bed. He was an orderly child always, at least when he was indoors. Always careful with the smallest thing, the oil lamps, his father's tools, the workshop which he swept every night. Whose hand had done this? Who has done this? Everything came over me in a flood, as deep as the childbirth flood of water and blood and baby and pain and joy. I thought of all he'd done. I thought of the child offering his small supplies of bread and fish, which was transformed into food for a multitude of hungry people, a crowd of longing. I thought of a man who'd lost his little girl, who was brought from death's sleep into life. I thought of what I'd heard from Peter of a calmed storm and stilled waves. I thought of other miracles, of lives restored in other ways, of bent bones straightened, a crippled man lifted from his bed to walk home, a blind man weeping for the wonder of the first time of seeing the world through tears, and us weeping to see him. I thought of the lost and the shamed and the shunned, found and loved and looked at with the eyes of love which didn't look away, which didn't cast the first stone to condemn a life of sin. And I thought of Lazarus and the look on his face when they undid his grave clothes, and he looked again on the world. I've seen that. I was there. I held Martha weeping in my arms, and saw my son weep with a grief I'd never seen before, saw him weep rich tears for his friend. And then he commanded him to come forth. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I